You sit at your desk late at night, the glow of the screen illuminating the quiet room. You open a fresh document or turn to a new page in a notebook, and you write down the exact same ambition you promised yourself a year ago. A higher income, a new title, a completely different life. For about 10 seconds, your brain floods with the warm, intoxicating rush of a victory that has not actually happened. You feel powerful just by imagining it. And then you close the notebook, the chemical high fades, and the cold reality sets in. You are in the exact same room. You are living the exact same life. You do not have a strategy for power. You have a prescription for a painkiller. The greatest deception of modern society is the romanticization of the goal. You have been conditioned to believe that having a massive, shining destination on the horizon is the ultimate sign of ambition. But observe your own behavior with cold detachment. When do you obsess over your goals the most? It is always when you are in pain. It is when you are frustrated with your current income, feeling invisible in your social circle, or feeling suffocated by a manager who barely knows your name. In these moments of acute powerlessness, you do not analyze the terrain or audit your weaknesses. You escape. You build a fantasy future in your mind where you have already won, and you retreat into it. This is why setting goals feels so productive when it is actually an anesthetic. It numbs the dissatisfaction of your present reality without demanding a single structural change to your daily life. You give yourself permission to remain weak today because you have promised yourself you will be strong tomorrow. But tomorrow is a ghost, and the people who run the world do not negotiate with ghosts. A goal is a plea to the future. A system is an occupation of the present. Society profits immensely from your obsession with the future. Corporate structures, consumer markets, and social hierarchies are all designed to keep you looking forward, because a person looking forward is not looking around. They are not looking at the systemic advantages being used against them right now. Because you live entirely in the not yet, you are incredibly easy to control. Think about the power dynamics in your workplace or your relationships. If your manager knows that your entire identity is hinged on receiving a specific promotion in 12 months, they do not need to respect you today. They do not need to compensate you fairly today. They simply need to keep the horizon visible. They dangle the title, the raise, or the validation just slightly out of reach, and you will willingly grind yourself into dust trying to close the gap. You become a greyhound chasing a mechanical rabbit, convinced that your exhaustion is proof of your progress. You have willingly handed over the leverage of your life to anyone who can gatekeep your destination. You are vibrating with anxiety, terrified of making a wrong move, because your entire sense of self-worth is held hostage by an outcome you do not ultimately control. Niccolò Machiavelli despised this kind of thinking. He viewed hope as a catastrophic vulnerability. To rely on time and the goodwill of the universe to deliver your desires is the mark of someone who fundamentally misunderstands human nature. In his writings, he warned that men who paint a picture of the world as they wish it to be, rather than studying it as it is, are carefully arranging their own ruin. He understood that to survive, let alone conquer, a strategist must deal exclusively in the currency of the present. What resources do you control right now? Who owes you a favor today? What specific, irreplaceable skill are you quietly mastering in the shadows? When you fixate on a distant peak, you develop a fatal tunnel vision. You stare so intently at the clouds that you fail to notice the jagged rocks at your feet. the shifting soil beneath your boots, and the quiet rivals who are already cutting your ropes. Goals force you into a state of psychological rigidity. You decide that success must look a specific way, arriving on a specific timeline, delivered by specific people. But the world is a violent, chaotic place, driven by self-interest and sudden shifts in leverage. It does not care about your vision board or your 5-year plan. When reality inevitably fractures your rigid timeline, you do not just face a setback. You face an identity crisis. You collapse. You feel worthless not because you lack capability, but because you built your entire psychological foundation on a fragile fantasy. To stop being a servant to the future, you must completely sever your emotional attachment to the horizon. You must kill the part of you that loves to dream, the inner child that demands a warm reward just for participating in the race. The world is not a manifestation exercise. It is a chessboard. And on a chessboard, you do not hope to capture the king. You study the board, you secure the center squares, you calculate the angles of attack, and you advance your pieces until the capture becomes a mathematical certainty. You stop asking for permission to arrive. You begin the cold, methodical work of altering your immediate reality so that success is no longer a distant wish, but the only logical outcome of your positioning. You must stop trying to escape your present dissatisfaction and instead weaponize it. Every moment of frustration, every slight, every feeling of being overlooked must be stripped of its emotional weight and converted into cold, calculated momentum. This shift from dreamer to architect requires a fundamental rewiring of how you interact with the world around you, beginning with the information you willingly surrender to your enemies. You think your ambition is the engine driving you forward, but it is actually the exact leash keeping you tied to the fence. To break that leash, you must first understand how you are the one willingly handing it to your rivals through the simple, self-destructive act of opening your mouth. Picture yourself at a casual Friday coffee catch-up, or lingering at the edges of a department meeting. You are feeling optimistic, momentarily blinded by the warmth of forced corporate camaraderie. You lean in and eagerly announce your next big move. A side project, a push for a senior promotion, a master plan to pivot into an entirely new, lucrative industry. You want validation. You want them to recognize your potential. You look around the circle and you see polite nods. You see encouraging, tight-lipped smiles. What you do not see are the microscopic shifts in their eyes, the quiet mental calculations, the subtle hardening of their own competitive agendas. You do not realize that behind those supportive, glossy expressions, they are already gathering the materials to build the roadblocks that will ensure you stay exactly where you are. Why do we consistently walk into this trap? It is a biological vulnerability disguised as enthusiasm. The moment you articulate a grand plan to an audience, your brain releases a potent hit of dopamine. You receive the chemical reward of achievement without having executed a single fraction of the agonizing labor required to actually build the thing. You feel respected in their eyes. You feel formidable. And in that exact fleeting moment, your hunger dies. You have successfully tricked your own nervous system into believing the war is already won, draining away the aggressive, desperate energy you need to push through the grueling realities of execution. You trade the undeniable power of doing for the cheap, empty thrill of saying. But the internal neurochemical damage is nothing compared to the external target you have just painted on your own back. In any competitive environment, Whether that is a corporate hierarchy, a university campus, or the subtle dominance games within a social circle, power is a zero-sum game. Your upward mobility inherently threatens the status quo of those around you. When you broadcast your intentions, you are giving your competitors a highly detailed, annotated map of your vulnerabilities. You allow the insecure to quietly mock you, sapping your reputation, and you allow the competent to quietly outmaneuver you, stealing your trajectory. Human beings harbor a dark, unspoken gravity. They subconsciously prefer that you remain at their level because your stagnation validates their own lack of movement. By speaking your goals out loud, you awaken their deepest insecurities. You give them the time, the motive, and the exact coordinates needed to sabotage you. This sabotage rarely looks like open warfare. It is elegant. It is dressed up as helpful advice from a mentor who suggests you might be stretching yourself too thin. It is the trusted colleague who conveniently leaves you off the email chain for the exact high-visibility project you said you wanted to lead. It is the subtle, passive-aggressive doubt planted in the mind of the decision-makers while you are not in the room to defend yourself. When you declare your target, you give the world a focal point to defend against. In the brutal calculus of power, a telegraphed punch is a blocked punch. You create a barricade where there used to be an open road. Niccolò Machiavelli understood the lethal cost of transparency. He wrote extensively about the dual nature required for enduring power, the brutal strength of the lion to terrify the wolves, and the cold cunning of the fox to recognize the traps. When it comes to your ambitions, your strategies, and your internal transformations, you must be the fox. The fox does not roar its intentions to the forest. It moves in utter silence. It conserves its energy, studying the terrain, mapping the snare wires laid by others, and striking only when the advantage is absolute and the outcome is irreversible. A strategist, Machiavelli advised, must be a great feigner and dissembler. He must mask his true objective so completely that the world only realizes what he was doing after the knife has already found its mark. You must delete the announcements, scrub the grand declarations from your vocabulary. The modern digital world aggressively encourages you to build in public, to leverage your journey for social media engagement, to seek a chorus of applause for simply stepping up to the starting line. Reject this entirely. It is a psychological trap designed to farm your attention, harvest your data, and dilute your effectiveness. Real power is generated in absolute silence and conserved through strict secrecy. When you operate with a hidden internal agenda, your physical posture actually changes. You sit in meetings not as an eager, anxious participant begging to be noticed, but as a silent observer gathering actionable intelligence. You let others talk. You let them leak their insecurities, boast about their sloppy goals, and reveal their desperate need for approval. You become a void, absorbing their information while giving absolutely nothing away in return. Think back to the last time you shared a deeply personal ambition, only to have it subtly dismissed or later weaponized against you. Feel that lingering sting of embarrassment. Let it burn away the naive, childlike desire for premature applause. The validation you crave from your peers is a toxic substitute for actual leverage. You must willingly trade the warmth of their conditional approval for the cold, undeniable reality of your own discretion. Your silence will begin to unsettle them. Your lack of predictability will make them nervous. They will sense that you are playing a game they cannot see, and that mystery alone will grant you a massive psychological upper hand. You will stop being an open book, predictable, readable, easily manipulated, and become a cipher, a closed system. This discipline of silence protects your momentum from the friction of other people's envy, building a pressurized vessel of untapped potential. But hiding your intentions is only half the game. To truly move unseen, you must fundamentally alter the ground you walk on. Imagine a scenario that occurs every day in the corporate ecosystem. A massive, sudden restructuring sweeps through a company, or perhaps an entirely new disruptive technology renders a lucrative skill set obsolete overnight. Two people stand in the wreckage. The first is the goal setter, the one who built their entire sense of self, their very identity, around reaching the title of VP within this specific organization by the age of 30. When the department dissolves, they do not just lose a job, they lose themselves. They shatter. They cry out about the unfairness of the universe. They spiral into a deep, paralyzing depression because their psychological foundation was anchored to a rigid future that has just been unceremoniously erased. The second person is the strategist, the one walking the path of Machiavellian virtue. They survey the exact same smoking crater of their department, but their reaction is entirely different. They do not shatter because their identity was never tied to a corporate title. They built a system of leverage. Their response is cold, immediate, and terrifyingly clear. The terrain has shifted. I am now a free agent. My necessity has increased. The old map is useless. I will read the new ground and move my resources where the capital is now flowing. This is the Dagger turn. This is the brutal reframe that separates those who understand power from those who are perpetually victimized by it. You are not failing because the universe is against you. You are not stuck because you lack discipline, or a better morning routine, or a more aesthetically pleasing vision board. You are failing because you broadcast your vulnerabilities and build your entire identity on the shifting sands of external validation and unpredictable outcomes. You are building rigid, glass castles in a world that guarantees earthquakes. Machiavelli recognized that reality is not a meritocracy. He called this chaotic, violent, and utterly indifferent force Fortuna, the raging river of fate that can flood the plains, tear down the bridges, and sweep away the most righteous and hard-working men in an instant. The goal setter's strategy is essentially building a beautiful, elaborate house on the banks of this river and praying that the water never rises. It is a philosophy grounded in profound arrogance and a dangerous misunderstanding of human vulnerability. When you say, "I will achieve this specific outcome by this specific date," you are assuming you have a contract with reality. You do not. The strategist understands that the flood is not an anomaly, it is a guarantee. The Machiavellian approach is not to pray against the chaos, but to engineer yourself so that you can navigate it and eventually weaponize it. You must adopt a stance of radical anti-fragility. When you abandon the fragile concept of the singular goal, you replace it with the unbreakable architecture of positioning. Positioning is the deliberate, ongoing act of securing high ground. It is not about what you want to happen. It is about where you are standing when the inevitable happens. If you set a goal to make a specific amount of money You are relying on a linear progression of effort and luck. If a crisis hits, you are pushed back to zero. But if you focus on positioning, you prioritize the accumulation of rare, undeniable skills. You map the social dynamics of your industry and place yourself as a critical node of information flow. You ensure that even if you are entirely derailed, you possess the exact leverage required to immediately pivot into a position of strength. The goal setter is a candle, terrified of the wind because it will extinguish them. The strategist is a forest fire. The harder the wind blows, the wider the destruction spreads, and the hotter the fire burns. The chaos that destroys the weak only accelerates the ascent of the prepared. This realization should sting. Look back at the last time you were blindsided by a failure, a rejection, or a betrayal. How much of your suffering was caused by the actual event, and how much was caused by your desperate clinging to the fantasy that it shouldn't have happened? The pain came from the friction between your rigid, hopeful expectations and the cold, unyielding nature of reality. The universe owes you absolutely nothing. The belief that good things come to those who wait, or to those who simply work hard, is a bedtime story designed to keep the masses docile. In the real world, good things are ruthlessly extracted by those who have positioned themselves to take them. To survive the flood, you must stop hoping the water stays low. You must study the currents, build the dam, and learn how to redirect the force of the river to turn the turbines of your own ambition. You don't need better goals, you need better positioning. But recognizing that you must move to the high ground is not enough. You must understand the mechanics of the ascent. To survive the inevitable flood, you must stop trying to build a stronger dam and learn to redirect the water entirely. Redirecting the raging water of chaos requires a fundamental rewiring of how you understand force in the modern world. You have likely been conditioned to believe that the mechanics of the ascent rely entirely on the sheer, brute strength of your own exertion. Picture the quintessential hard worker in any corporate or academic environment. This is the person arriving at the office before the sun rises, grinding through an 80-hour week, quietly drowning in a sea of menial, operational tasks. They keep their head down. They never complain. They operate under the tragic delusion that there is some cosmic ledger tracking their suffering, and that eventually an authority figure will look down, recognize their silent martyrdom, and bestow upon them the promotion they so richly deserve. Now look across the room at the Machiavellian player. This individual works half the hours. They rarely break a sweat over administrative minutiae. Yet when the executive restructuring occurs, it is not the exhausted martyr who is elevated to the corner office. It is the strategist. The martyr shatters, crying out about nepotism, office politics, and the fundamental unfairness of the universe. They are entirely blind to the fact that while they were busy working on the machine, the strategist was busy owning the machine. The hard worker fails because their approach is grounded in a fatal mathematical error. They are playing a linear game in a reality governed by exponential laws. Setting a goal to simply work harder or put in more hours is a peasant's game. It operates on the naive, working-class assumption that 1 unit of physical or mental effort directly correlates to 1 unit of reward. But power does not scale linearly. Power scales through leverage. Leverage is the dark geometry of success. It is the calculated mechanism by which one carefully applied unit of strategic effort generates 100 units of disproportionate reward. When you finally understand this, you will look back at your past exhaustion with a sense of cold, clinical disgust. You will realize how much of your vital energy was bled away into systems designed to exploit your inherent desire to be seen as a good worker. Niccolò Machiavelli never advised his prince to pick up a broadsword and charge into the front lines of the vanguard, just to prove his valor and work ethic to the troops. That is how a foot soldier dies. It is not how a sovereign conquers. Machiavelli understood that direct brute force is the lowest and least efficient form of power. Instead, he taught the mastery of strategic delegation and the exploitation of existing momentum. He advised using other people's armies, other people's resources, and other people's vanity to secure your own objectives. You must immediately stop viewing your career, your social standing, and your financial growth as a test of your personal endurance. The goal is not to cross the finish line covered in blood and sweat. The goal is to arrive at the finish line having been carried there by the very systems you engineered. To achieve this, you must ruthlessly map the power dynamics of your environment and locate the bottlenecks. A bottleneck is a choke point where resources, whether that is capital, critical information, or access to high-status individuals, naturally accumulate and restrict flow. Your objective is not to work the hardest, but to identify these choke points and place yourself exactly in the center of them. If you are operating within a corporate hierarchy, you must refuse the grueling, invisible tasks that keep the lights on but offer zero visibility. Let the goal setters take those tasks to prove their dedication. You must maneuver yourself onto the projects that are directly tied to the ego and the bonus structure of the executives above you. You do not just do the work. You control the flow of vital information between departments. You become the singular translator between the technical team and the financial team. You make it so that your immediate superior cannot effectively perform their job without relying on your highly specialized, proprietary knowledge. You engineer a state of absolute necessity. When you become the bottleneck, you stop asking for raises and promotions. You dictate the terms of your existence. The power dynamic fundamentally inverts. They are no longer evaluating whether you are worthy of advancement. They are terrified of the operational paralysis that would occur if you ever decided to leave. This is the difference between hoping for a reward and constructing a reality where your reward is a structural inevitability. You stop being a cog in the wheel, and you become the linchpin holding the entire wheel to the axle. A goal is a plea to the future, but a system of leverage is an occupation of the present. Think about the concept of social leverage. The goal setter tries to build a network by aggressively handing out business cards, sending cold messages, and begging for 10 minutes of a mentor's time. They are pushing a boulder up a hill, fighting the natural friction of human apathy. The Machiavellian player uses social proof and human psychology to pull people toward them. They identify the single most connected, influential node in a social network, and they find out what that specific person desperately needs but cannot buy. Usually discretion, loyalty, or a solution to a highly specific, embarrassing problem. The strategist solves that one problem flawlessly and silently. Instantly, they have secured the backing of the kingmaker, and the rest of the network falls in line without a single business card ever being printed. Let this realization wash over you, and replace your anxiety with cold empowerment. Feel the heavy, suffocating weight of unnecessary exhaustion lifting off your shoulders. All those late nights and skipped meals were not badges of honor. They were symptoms of poor strategy. You do not need to be the most exhausted person in the room to win. In fact, if you are exhausted, you are likely losing. You need to be the most necessary person in the room. This radical shift from naive, brute force exhaustion to calculated, elegant efficiency is terrifying to those who still cling to the moral superiority of suffering. But to you, it is the purest form of liberation. You are finally seeing the board from above. You are trading the warm, fuzzy morality of hard work for the cold, lethal reality of effectiveness. You have stopped playing the game they designed for you, and you have started designing the game they will inevitably have to play. But possessing the high ground and controlling the choke points is a dangerous position if you cannot control the one variable that most often betrays a leader. Once you hold the high ground, the final step isn't to fight the battles yourself, but to ensure the war is won before anyone even draws a sword. Once you hold the high ground, the final step isn't to fight the battles yourself, but to ensure the war is won before anyone even draws a sword. Yet the most devastating threat to your carefully constructed empire will rarely come from a jealous rival, a market crash, or a sudden shift in leverage. The true danger is far more intimate, and it is entirely of your own making. It happens in the pitch black of the early morning. The alarm goes off. The room is freezing. The sheets are heavy and warm. And in that crucial defining fraction of a second, the internal debate begins. You hear a voice whisper that you worked hard yesterday, that you deserve an extra hour of rest, that one morning off will not derail your grand strategy. You rationalize, you negotiate, you succumb. In that silent, invisible moment of surrender, you have not just lost an hour of productivity, you have lost your sovereignty. You have allowed the weakest, most pathetic fragment of your psychology to stage a successful coup against the architect of your future. Modern society has weaponized a very dangerous concept and branded it as self-love. You are constantly bombarded with messaging that encourages you to be gentle with your shortcomings, to honor your resistance, and to embrace your flaws as beautiful quirks. This is an incredibly seductive ideology because it dresses up surrender in the noble language of psychological health. But if you look closely at the people peddling this philosophy, you will usually find profound mediocrity. They are using the aesthetics of self-care as an elegant excuse to negotiate with their own laziness. When you forgive yourself for skipping the work, when you rationalize the junk food, when you allow your emotional state to dictate your actions, you are not loving yourself. You are enabling your own decay. You are treating yourself the way a weak, indulgent parent treats a spoiled child, guaranteeing that the child will grow up to be entirely unequipped for the brutality of the real world. True self-love is not soft. It is terrifyingly demanding. It is the refusal to let the current version of you sabotage the future version of you. Machiavelli asked one of the most famous questions in the history of political strategy: is it better to be loved or to be feared? His cold, immortal answer was that while it is ideal to be both, if a ruler must choose, it is always safer to be feared. You must take this principle out of the realm of geopolitics and apply it directly to your own nervous system. Do you love yourself? Most likely you do. You love your comfort. You love your excuses. You love the easy dopamine hits of scrolling through a feed instead of doing the deep, agonizing work of executing your strategy. That love is exactly what is making you weak. You do not need to love yourself more. You need to fear yourself. You need to develop a profound, chilling fear of the part of you that is eager to settle. You need to be terrified of the version of yourself that wakes up 5 years from now, having achieved absolutely nothing but a deep catalog of perfectly articulated excuses. You must become your own tyrant. If you want to build a system that guarantees your ascent, you must establish a regime within your own mind that is absolutely intolerant of weakness. You must look at your own rationalizations with the same cold, clinical disgust that you would reserve for a rival trying to sabotage your career. Because that is exactly what your lazy impulses are doing, sabotaging your empire from the inside out. A Machiavellian ruler imposes absolute order on chaos. Right now, if you cannot control your impulses, your mind is in a state of open rebellion. Your fleeting desires, your cravings for comfort, your sudden bouts of unearned exhaustion. These are not aspects of your personality to be honored. They are insurgents holding your potential hostage. A sovereign does not negotiate with terrorists. If you try to coddle these impulses into submission, they will drain your energy and laugh at your weakness. You must crush the rebellion. You must install a ruthless internal constitution, a set of non-negotiable laws that govern your behavior, regardless of how you happen to feel on any given Tuesday morning. The law dictates that the work is done. The law dictates that the emotional resistance is irrelevant. When you violate your own law, you must punish yourself with a strict denial of the cheap comforts you crave. When you obey the law, you forge a link in an unbreakable chain of self-respect. You realize that motivation is a myth sold to people who lack a system. A system does not require you to feel inspired. It only requires you to execute the next step. This sounds harsh, cold, and entirely devoid of the warmth promised by conventional self-help. It is. But look at the results of gentle. Look at the fragility of a society built on the endless accommodation of weakness. When you delete the soft, pleading goals of the dreamer and replace them with the ironclad mandates of the architect, you experience a radical shift in your internal reality. You stop needing external motivation. You stop needing to watch a video to pump yourself up, or a quote to get you out of bed. You move strictly on necessity. You do the hard thing because you have commanded yourself to do it. And the alternative, being a slave to your own fleeting impulses, is deeply repulsive to you. This level of self-mastery is not a punishment. It is an elevation. You are stripping away the bloated, unnecessary layers of emotional indulgence to reveal the lethal machinery beneath. Here is the paradox that breaks the minds of the weak. When you are absolutely ruthless with yourself, you become infinitely freer. Discipline, correctly applied, is the only true mechanism of freedom. When you can look in the mirror and know with terrifying certainty that you will do exactly what you commanded yourself to do, you generate a power that no external goal could ever provide. You begin to walk differently. You enter a negotiation, a social setting, or a hostile corporate environment, carrying the dark thrill of absolute self-control. Most people in that room cannot even control what they put in their mouths for breakfast. How can they possibly expect to control you? They will sense your internal order and they will subconsciously defer to it. You have killed the dreamer and crowned the architect. But maintaining this empire requires mastering the one vulnerability every ruler eventually faces. You have killed the dreamer and crowned the architect. But maintaining this internal empire requires mastering the one vulnerability that eventually brings down even the most disciplined rulers. That vulnerability is the intoxicating illusion of finality. The belief that once you have built your system, the chaos of the world will simply respect your boundaries and cease to test your resolve. The truth is, the architecture of inevitability is not a concrete bunker you hide inside. It is a warship designed to navigate the most violent, unpredictable waters. The final seal on your system, the attribute that makes you truly untouchable in any environment, is radical adaptability fueled by absolute emotional detachment. Picture yourself walking into a chaotic, high-stakes environment, a boardroom where a critical merger is unexpectedly collapsing, a market that has suddenly turned hostile, or a personal crisis that would have previously shattered your entire reality. Look around the room at the people who still operate on the outdated software of hope and goals. Watch them scramble. They are sweating, raising their voices, pointing fingers, and desperately trying to force the shifting terrain back into the shape of their obsolete maps. They are frantic because their entire psychological safety, their ego, and their identity were all tied to a specific outcome that is evaporating before their eyes. Now look at yourself. You exist in that exact same room, exposed to the exact same crisis, but you are entirely detached. You are not panicked. You are simply observing the geometry of the disaster. You exist not as a victim of the storm, but as the quiet, undeniably lethal eye at its center. This profound stillness is not an accident or a personality trait. It is the natural byproduct of a mind that has stopped negotiating with fantasy. When you completely sever your ego from the fragile concepts of success or failure, you achieve a terrifying level of invulnerability. Failure is a word invented by people who believed they were entitled to a specific reward for their effort. To the Machiavellian strategist, failure does not exist. There is only raw data. There is only the immediate reality of the board and the cold calculation of the next logical move. If the main gate is suddenly locked, you do not stand in the rain crying about the injustice of the lock. You check the perimeter. If the perimeter is guarded, you locate the subterranean tunnels. If the tunnels are flooded, you wait in the shadows for a change in the guard's rotation. You never stop moving, but you never ever tether your self-worth to a single direction of movement. A goal setter is paralyzed by a shifting terrain because they have invested all their emotional capital in one fragile timeline. When you build a system based on positioning and leverage, you are completely decoupled from singular outcomes. You become a fluid, formless entity capable of carving through solid rock simply by finding the path of least resistance. You stop broadcasting the frenetic, hungry energy of someone who is endlessly chasing a mirage on the horizon. Instead, you radiate the heavy, unsettling gravity of someone who has already secured their power. People are instinctively drawn to this dark certainty. In a world populated by anxious, vibrating goal setters, the individual with an unbreakable internal system is immediately recognized as a sovereign force. Your peers will subconsciously flock to your stillness. They will look to you to make the impossible decisions when they are paralyzed by fear, and in doing so, They will willingly hand you the exact leverage you need to advance your own hidden agenda. When a crisis erupts, the average mind is flooded with emotional debris, fear, anger, betrayal, and a desperate clinging to what they feel is fair. Their vital energy is entirely consumed by the act of resisting reality. You, however, have engineered a mind that embraces harsh reality with cold, calculated enthusiasm. You view a catastrophe not as a tragedy, but as a sudden, beautiful clearing of the board. Chaos is the ultimate equalizer. It aggressively removes the weak. It shatters established, stagnant hierarchies and suddenly opens up massive vacuums of power that did not exist yesterday. By maintaining absolute emotional detachment, you can clearly identify these vacuums and step into them before the goal setters have even finished writing their apologies. You stop chasing the illusion of a static, peaceful victory and learn to find a deep, profound thrill in the mechanics of the maneuver itself. Every setback is simply a new equation to solve. Every betrayal by a colleague is a fascinating lesson in human predictability. You do not suffer. You merely gather intelligence and adjust the angle of the blade. This philosophy is not for everyone. Do not mistake this for a path to happiness or communal warmth. It is incredibly lonely to view the world through the lens of pure strategy, stripped of the comforting, collective illusions of hope, fairness, and karma. It requires you to look directly into the abyss of human nature, to recognize the self-interest driving every interaction, and to refuse to blink. But it is the only true path to absolute autonomy. Tomorrow morning you will not wake up and write down a list of pathetic wishes disguised as ambitions. You will not check your phone to see if the universe has finally decided to reward your patience. You will wake up, coldly survey your immediate terrain, identify the bottleneck of power in your environment, and silently position yourself to exploit it. You will move without asking for applause, and you will advance without begging for permission. But knowing the mechanics of the game is entirely useless if your hands are shaking while you play it. The mind is a treacherous, unpredictable servant, and it will constantly try to drag you back into the comfortable weakness of emotional reactivity. The most perfectly designed system of leverage will collapse instantly if you allow your feelings to dictate your strategy in the heat of a high-stakes moment. This fatal flaw, the inability to seal the cracks in your own psychology, is what eventually destroys even the most brilliant strategists. You must learn to weaponize your detachment. In the next video, we will dissect the exact mechanics of emotional leakage and how to surgically remove the hidden triggers that manipulators use to pull your strings. If you are ready to stop reacting and start ruling, the next move is yours.